Things have changed about how African Americans see their ancestors and identity. For a long time, it was believed that all African Americans were descendants of African slaves brought to America through the transatlantic slave trade. People thought that African Americans came from Africa and that their ancestors were only slaves with no identity beyond that. But now, history shows something different. Many African Americans' ancestors were actually native to America, not from Africa. In fact, the majority of the white population in America today are the real outsiders, coming from Europe. So, what evidence shows that African Americans have Native American roots? Let's find out. Before European settlers arrived, the Americas were home to many Native American tribes with different physical features, languages, and cultures. Some of these tribes had dark skin, similar to Africans. This was not widely known until hidden paintings in old history books revealed the truth. Tribes like the Yamasee, Chaka, and some groups in the Caribbean and South America had dark skin, curly hair, and broad facial features. These people were native to America, but European settlers mistakenly thought they were Africans. Many European explorers wrote about the physical diversity of Native American tribes. For example, James Adair, in his 1775 book, The History of the American Indians, mentioned that some Native American tribes had dark skin, similar to the Moors from Africa. Other explorers also noted this, but their writings were often influenced by racial bias. They wanted to create strict racial categories, and because of this, dark-skinned Native Americans were grouped with African slaves, erasing their Native American identity. The European settlers used this racial classification to justify slavery and the taking of Native American land. They treated both Africans and dark-skinned Native Americans as property. This made it easier for settlers to enslave both groups, and the Native American identity was lost in the process. Between 1492 and 1880, 5.5 million Native Americans were enslaved in the Americas. This happened alongside the African slave trade, which brought millions of Africans to the Americas. Many Native Americans who had dark skin were enslaved because they looked similar to Africans. European settlers couldn't tell the difference and often treated them the same. This led to the loss of their native culture and heritage. Even the Spanish colonizers enslaved large numbers of Native Americans, especially in the Caribbean and South America. Historian Andrés Resendez, in his book The Other Slavery, explains that Native American slavery played a major role in building the colonial economy. African slaves and Native Americans often worked together, which led to marriages between the two groups. However, this doesn't mean African Americans today are only descendants of these black Native Americans. Many of these Native Americans married Africans, so their children had both African and Native American roots. Over time, it's become clear that African Americans may have both Native American and African ancestors, or they could be entirely Native American. The U.S. government played a big role in erasing Native American identity. The Dawes Act of 1887 aimed to divide Native American land into individual plots. However, mixed-race people, with both African and Native American ancestry, were often classified as African Americans. This prevented them from receiving land rights that Native Americans were entitled to. This reclassification helped the government take more Native American land and erase their identity. It also forced Native Americans with African ancestry to identify only with their African roots, which led to the loss of their Native American heritage. Over time, many African Americans forgot their Native American ancestry. Today, some African Americans have physical features associated with Native Americans, like high cheekbones, straight hair, and certain skin tones. These traits are a reminder of their Native American heritage, even though it has been hidden for many years. For a long time, African Americans were taught that their ancestors were only African slaves brought to America. While this is true for many, it doesn't include the Native American ancestry that many African Americans share. This erasure of Native roots led to a distorted view of African American identity, leaving many disconnected from their full heritage. Now, more African Americans are learning about and reclaiming their Native American ancestry. What do you think? Are African Americans today descendants of Native Americans or only African slaves? Do you know anything about your own family's ancestry? Share your thoughts in the comments below.